Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to convene the April 19th, 2018 meeting of the City of Ojai Arts Commission. And we will start with a roll call, if you would, please, Mr. Nutt.
Thank you. Commissioner Toscher?
Here.
Commissioner Crowner? Commissioner Byrne?
Here.
Commissioner Balderman?
Here.
Commissioner Golden?
Here.
Vice Chair Harmon? And Chair Pattison.
Here.
Thank
you. Okay, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Christine, if you would do the honors, please. Oh, you did it last time?
That's
Well,
okay.
You did it
Let's do
so
all
well,
together.
I'd ask you to do it again.
All right, everybody all together now. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
all.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? We have two members of the public here, but no comments to make? All right. We will continue in that case, and we will move to the Arts Grant Committee.
All right, excuse me, point of order, Chair.
Yes.
I would have a request that we could move two of the agenda items, or at least one of the agenda items. Could we please move the Budget Committee discussion to be at some point later, because it may be impacted by the public art report?
That's a very good idea, so we'll move the
Oh, thank you.
budget to,
Wherever you want it after, wherever.
well, we'll make it right last. How's that?
Right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, having done that, with no objections from anybody, I presume, we'll continue with the arts grants. Ms. Toscher, if you would, please.
It'll be me. All right, I passed out timeline for this year, including January of 2019, when the money will actually be handed out at some point. So it pretty much follows what our schedule was last year. There are a few housekeeping changes that I don't have to show you for approval, but I will next time. The first thing would be the application itself. There might be a few tweaks to that. And the second thing is this year what we're going to do, we're requiring a year-end, in the same calendar year that the grant recipients receive the money, we're requiring a report, a summary of what was accomplished with the money. So what we're going to do is we're going to have that, create a form that each grant recipient can fill out. So it's more user-friendly, and it's known what they'll be expected to report on. We will include that that review, that report that the grant recipients are required to fill out. We'll include it with the initial application, so they know from day one what they'll be expected to demonstrate that year that they do their projects and they receive the money. Second thing is, we will use that same form when the recipients receive their money. In the envelope with the check will be that form with a date that it's due. And so that's a little bit of a difference, because I guess there have been issues with recipients not, providing the summaries or whatever. And then in January, at your discretion, Chairman Addison, we'll pick an Arts Commission meeting where the grant recipients can come and further elaborate on the forms that they filled out about their projects.
Sounds good.
So that's what's happening with grants. Timeline, a few new forms, or tweaks to the application, a new form. That's what I've got.
Any
Marcy,
questions?
yes.
Yes, Christine.
I'd like it's more of a request as somebody who's in charge of our publicity and website. Could you also require them to send us some photos of what our grants have accomplished? Because it would be great to have that material.
Okay, a photo
Include
included
photos
with
when
their
appropriate.
Yes.
Summary, their form that they
Yes,
fill out, and
yes.
with a thumbnail, and then you could, generate publicity from that. That's
Yes.
a great idea.
Right,
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
good.
Great
Any
idea.
other comments or
Great idea.
questions? Okay, thanks, Marcy. That's really terrific to have this systematized and laid out, and I think the changes you're gonna make are gonna be just
Put it in your
appropriate
calendars.
to.
If there are any glaring issues in terms of conflicts with your schedules, let me know. You know, these aren't set in stone. There's a little bit of wiggle room.
Sure, sure. Okay, that having been done, we'll move on to the Artist Student Mentor Program. We did advertise for artists to apply for the program. You may recall that because of the financial strictures imposed by City Council, we were only awarded $3,000 in support of that program this year. In addition, however, we do have the continuing support of the Ojai Education Foundation. So on that basis, we could only fund 4 pairs this year instead of 5.
Are they giving 1,000, the Ed Foundation?
They're giving 1,250, so they
Oh.
cover both the artist and the student. So that being one of the constraints that we had as we advertised, we did not mention that, the number that we were seeking. As it turns out, we got 4 applicants. And we've met with them, and they're all first-rate, and they're very diverse. And so we have Patricia Anders, Stephen Edwards for the second time, Gail Hersher for the second time, and Janine Bale for the 4th person. And they represent entirely different approaches, so that whichever students work with them will be getting a unique experience. We are also insisting that they also turn in a written report at the end of the summer and some photographs.
Yes, thank you.
We've mentioned that to them already, so that we have photographs, which helps us get coverage in the newspaper and so on. Right now, thanks to Bobby's efforts, contacts have been made with the schools, and we're searching for students to go with these 4 people. And that's the next phase of the moon, is finding the students. And the deadline we set was the 23rd of May? 25th of May for student applications. Please.
I'm just curious, I don't know if this is meant for here or for James. One of the mentors asked me the question, is there any way they can get, or the student can get, or she can get half of the money up front, because the supplies are expensive for pastels. And most students won't have the money to go out and spend a couple $100 on the supplies. And they don't get paid till, after the
Right.
fact.
I actually would say, I think that would be a question for if the commission was comfortable with doing it that way. I don't see any immediate, finance/budget issues. I
I
think
think what we have done in the past, and we discontinued doing it, was we gave the artists half of their money up front
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
think
pay
you're
for
right.
supplies. So I would think that a better solution would be if an artist makes a request, as has been the case in this case, that maybe as much as $200 could be allocated to that
The only
artist.
thing is the only problem is Janine is saying that she can't buy the supplies out of her $750, that the student has to come with the supplies.
I see.
And, it's kind of a little iffy to me to just give the student half their money. What if they take the money and run? So
Yeah,
this,
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking about the artist, and I was thinking that'd be
Yeah.
fine. The student makes me a little more nervous because we have had a couple that haven't
No, I
Yeah.
think-
followed through.
I think the thing to do is to talk with the artist and explain that we have in the past given the artist some money in advance, and that's what we're prepared to do.
And if she used some of that to buy supplies for the student could be given a bill to pay her back,
Student could
right?
reimburse her, yeah.
well,
They have to, I think that the mentor has to work that out with the student, because
That
that's
makes
all
sense
gonna
to
be
me.
so
Yeah,
different.
it's gonna vary from
Yeah.
pair to pair.
I just have an idea. Is there any way that we could somehow collaborate or interface with the studio artist to get some of the supplies on loan?
Oh,
Because they're not going to use the whole thing pastel.
Pastel, well,
Would
no,
they?
but I would think that we could find people to donate some pastels.
oh,
I mean,
I'll
I
donate
think-
all my pastels,
Yeah.
if you come get them.
I'll get
There
them.
you are.
I'll come get 'em.
Okay,
You'll come
Okay.
get them?
Good.
Okay, somebody come get my
problem
pastel.
solved.
I mean, that's not
Thank
enough
you.
for, what, is she working with one student?
It's just one.
One student.
for-
Oh, I'll donate my pastels, because I'm doing oil now.
Okay, great.
Okay, Christine will come over, because
Okay,
I
yeah.
know what she wants, and I can look at what you
Yeah,
We do
might have to
problem
clean 'em up a
solving
little
really
bit.
well. No, we really
Yeah.
do.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you, thank you. Okay, anything else on? Okay, we're moving forward then with the artist mentors. And we can move to public art, and you have, I think, 5 minutes is what we scheduled, Christine.
oh, well, good luck. So public art, I'd like really to start with Marcy, who's going to give a report on the Trimpen Sound Arch Redux event. She has exciting things to tell us.
So, welcome Cynthia Wyrick, one of the members of our ad hoc committee. We've entitled our whole event the Trimpen Sound Arch Redux. That's
We
the
like it.
official title. And we're getting so excited about this, it's gonna be great. First thing is that, I don't know if I mentioned before, the date, we have a time slot during the music festival. It's Sunday, June 10th at 11 a.m. at the infamous, the famous, depends on the day,
And the wind.
Trimpen Sound Arch, and we will be officially included in the Ojai Music Festival program.
Good.
We have been working on and have a rendering of a plaque that we've talked about, additional signage for the arch. This will go opposite the existing signage on the arch, and the purpose of this plaque that we would be adding, it, by the way, will match the existing plaque, but this plaque is specifically dedicated to informing people how to use the app that Trimpen designed to be used with the arch, so that members of the public can go up and access the playlist for the arch and interact with it in that way. So it's just a very simple way of how people can do this. That's what the plaque will be. It's very simple, very user-friendly. And to go along with that, we're really excited that Ray Powers is going to participate in the program, and he will be using that app, showing people how to use that app, and he will also be hooking up into the arch itself and using it like a musical instrument, which it really is, and he's going to be playing from his
Keyboard.
MIDI
Keyboard,
keyboard.
Yeah, MIDI keyboard.
He's gonna hook into it, and
So
he's gonna actually play music live on the arch, so people, it really reinforces the idea that the sound arch is just as much, if not more, sound-oriented than a visual experience. So that's happening, we're really excited about that. And then also, we're working with Wendy Barker at the museum, and Christine Byrne generously offered up the space, the city gallery space in the museum for a period of a few weeks. I believe it's gonna start May 30th, and I don't know, until your next show is running there. I don't know the date of that exactly, but we're gonna have that wall when you walk into the museum, and it's gonna be dedicated to the Trimpen Arch, featuring photos that Roger Conrad took and Fred Rothenberg. And then I'm trying to get an actual image of some actual sheet music that Trimpen wrote for the arch, to put just a little snippet up there to reinforce the idea that this is a musical public art piece as well. So that will be at the museum starting around May 30th, and then also the museum has generously agreed to offer up some space in their tent at the music festival. And we're gonna pretty much duplicate what we've got at the museum, but she didn't wanna give us so much space that their museum stuff would be, crowded out. So just kind of a synopsis of what we've got at the museum, but directing people to the museum to see the more complete display. So that's very exciting. Okay, so at this point, the biggest item on our wish list to do is really involves the city and our goal of making the arch what it really should be, a standalone piece of public art. It's not being used as a ticket booth, that's not being used as a garbage receptacle, and that it has the visual prominence that the artist intended it to have, so you could appreciate the relationship between the Libby Bowl and the sound arch. So to accomplish that, we wanted to relocate the two chain link fences that flank the arch, and divide the front lobby area of the Libby Bowl from the Libby Bowl pathway. So to relocate that closer to the ticket booth, further up towards like Ojai Avenue, and then redirect people with crowd management to go actually to the ticket booth and to come in through the ticket booth way, a different way to approach the Libby Bowl. And that way they will have a straight shot of walking down a path, seeing the arch, seeing the relationship to the Libby Bowl, appreciating the arch as a piece of sculpture, and not have the visual distractions of a lot of people milling around and all of that other activity. They'll have a nice little path, they'll see the arch, they'll walk through, it'll clank away, and they'll have an experience. So all of those things are really in the hands of the city. That's their decision, how they accomplish those things in terms of crowd management and ticket collection and all of that is really up to them. We've had many meetings with Councilman Haney and all that, but it's really not our jurisdiction. It belongs to the city and the Libby Bowl Committee. So we're hoping to uns that along, because it would be a shame that we've done all of this work and then we have that same visual, we have that same function at the ball. And here we're saying how important the arch is, and that, you'll see, 9 out of 10 people will say, oh, I thought this is where we give our tickets, not realizing that it's a piece of public art, it's not a ticket booth. Anyway, that is my report. We're very excited. We're gonna need a lot of help, Christine and Stuart, with publicity. So Cynthia has written wonderful things and has a lot of wonderful material. And we'll have visuals and all of that, so we, could collaborate. Cynthia will be your
Press
point
releases.
person,
Get
in
it-
terms of publicity
Get it
and all of that.
to us as soon as possible.
I think, don't we have dates picked out for the press releases? Didn't we do that at some point?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could send those to you maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sooner rather than
press
later.
release we'll have available next week. All of this is getting,
Yeah, I've got.
And I
I've
just
got it.
sent you an email, but the dates at the, while I was sitting here, but the dates at the museum are May 26th through June 30th.
because she had told, okay, so she moved it up. Okay.
No, not she, that's what the schedule is. Joanne leaves there on the 26th.
Okay, but then there's a breakdown, you have to break it down and
No.
reinstall and all that?
No, it happens at the same time.
Oh, it does,
Mhm.
okay, great, okay, so May 26th
Mhm.
through,
June 30th.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank you, Marcy.
great progress, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrific, and thank
Yeah.
you, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrific.
And
This is a
Cynthia and Marcy
major
and
step forward.
Ray Powers and Barbara Hirsch. It's just, it's a really fun committee, ad hoc committee to work with. And before, I will forget this, Marcy, so I just want to mention it now. We should add to our items, lighting, because there is lighting for that arch, and we should really up the lighting. Yeah, so put that on to talk next time. Okay, all right, sorry about that. All right, then, going from there, I really am going to ask to give the Playhouse Project report next, because all my other reports bear on the Playhouse Project report. So I want to give that, and everyone grasp onto the table like this, and sit up tall.
Keep your smelling salts handy.
Right, keep your smelling salt handy. James and I worked very hard. I did a rough draft of a covenant, and it went to the lawyer, and it went to, through all the routes. And we had a meeting with Khaled and Cheryl, his wife, and they are not okay. They are not going to sign a covenant. So there will not be a Playhouse Project as long as Khaled is the owner of the Playhouse. he would love to do a project, and he said this repeatedly. I would do it in a minute. But they had a family meeting, and at the family meeting, the thought was that it could impede selling the Playhouse, and so they would like us to work with the new owner. So, new development.
Yes, indeed.
So having said that, I'm going to now go on to my report, because I think we should take a look at this Playhouse project, and my recommendation, and it's just my recommendation, we have not had a Public Art Committee meeting about this, just coming from me, for all of us here to discuss, is should we shelve this project? Should we just put it on a shelf and wait for the Playhouse to be sold and then revisit it? We've already done a tremendous amount of work that is in a file folder. We just have to exhume that at the right time. We could do that. And I'd also like to suggest that we could revisit the idea of spending a very small amount of our public art budget, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, and revisit the idea of utility boxes. I don't know if you saw the eggs that were done. Christine did one for the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa, but there were some incredible things done. And I think that if we picked out 2 or 3 utility boxes that, and did it as a competition, that we could go ahead with a public art project, but it'd be much smaller scale while we're waiting for the Playhouse to be sold. So I just put that out there now as a discussion for everybody.
The only thing I would think that needs investigating, the last time we talked about this in several years ago, someone said that the problem in Ojai is that the utility boxes are owned by so many different entities. Could that problem be resolved?
Absolutely. It's not
If,
really a problem.
if the commission wants to pursue that, I think it would take, a couple weeks for me to work with Public Works and kind of decode, but I don't think it's a big enough obstacle that it's not worth looking into.
Well,
It's true in all cities.
I personally think it's a great idea.
Me too.
Spend $3,000 to $5,000, do it as a competition, as the,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A public art-
Fun.
There'd be a public art jury
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
It would be a competition.
Yeah.
Each of the boxes, because I've done a lot of research on this from the past conversations, you actually get a template that lays out the utility box on all sides, and the artist has to actually draw what exactly they're going to do, and then the public art jury picks the top choices for this. And I think it could just be such a boost up
Sure.
to the commission. It would be so visible.
I think, Christine, didn't you judge?
I did for the
Entries
city
for
of Ventura.
Ventura?
Yes.
Yeah, Christine was a judge.
And it was great. And a lot of the people didn't, they weren't, they didn't overdo their sketches, but they also gave us samples of their work so that we knew they were capable of carrying out their ideas. I mean, we don't want them to spend 20 hours on painting this.
Would you be willing to be my consultant on writing the RFQ and the
Sure.
RFP, since with
Sure.
your experience?
Yes.
With a little ad hoc thing there?
I'd love it.
Okay, well, let's definitely put this on next month's agenda
Okay,
as an
let's do
action
it.
item.
Okay,
Uh,
fabulous.
It isn't agendized this meeting, so we can't
All
deal with it
right,
as an action item, but it'll be on
Right.
next month's agenda as an action item.
right.
Any other thoughts on this before we go forward? Okay, carry on, Christine.
All right. The other project that, and here I'm speaking from my heart, and really from my heart. It's something, I mean, whatever you guys tell me to do, I'll do. If you tell me to work on the, inn, I'll work on the inn. If you want me to meet with a developer, I'll meet with a developer. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. Including, looking at the museum gates and then later being charged for doing that. But what I really want to do in my heart of hearts, what I really want to do is work on our public art tours. I would like to develop print materials for that, and I need everybody's help. The dream that I have is that we would have a downloadable app where Michael Addison would be speaking and reading the little stories about these public art pieces, so people could download the app and walk through the tours. And I've worked on this for so long in my head. There are 3 separate tours because we have that much public art. One ends up at Topa Mountain Winery. Well, hey, maybe they would help fund this. One ends up at the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa restaurant next to the Pamela Grosbeak. Well, hey, maybe they'll help us fund this. One ends up at Seafresh. Well, hey, and we should go back to city council because this will be good for the economy to send people out on these public art tours that they're all interacting with places of business as well. And I think it could just be so much fun. So that's what I'd love to do. We need funding in order to do that, other than what we have in the Public Art Fund is earmarked for plaques. We don't have a lot of money for that. So we would need funding, and what comes to mind, of course, is the Education Committee, because this is part of educating the public about public art. So that's also something, we haven't had a public art meeting. I thought I would bring it before all 7 of you for your consideration. If you like the idea, we could bring it back next month and tell me to go.
Well, let's talk about it now. How do we all feel?
I think it's a great idea. It benefits so many aspects of Ojai, and I think about, as an example, the museum and how successful that museum, their walks on Saturday have been in terms of educating people about history of Ojai and various buildings in Ojai and all of that. And if we're the creative little town in Southern California, I think it only behooves us to, teach people about our public art pieces, that we're a city of art, So I just see us as win-win. And then to promote the businesses that have installed public art pieces is even another aspect of that. And in being grateful for the fact that they participated in the public art program, we're bringing them people, to experience the art and to hopefully patronize their businesses.
Bobby?
So I love it.
I love the idea, so don't think that I don't. But I'm the devil's advocate, as you know. The glitch I see is the good news for the museum is there's a structure there that to have somebody in place, a place to call when people come into town so they can set up their tours, and they have their volunteers in place to do all that. That's going to take some management here because we don't have that central place. That was just one thing. But the other thing I was going to say is, this could be kind of like, did you see, I don't know if you all saw the CD Ojai by car, or I don't remember.
Oh, right, remember that.
Yeah, that tour by car, and it was a CD. Well, we can do something like, developing an app is very time-consuming and expensive. There may be an existing app that we can find that we can plug into, that someone just downloads it to their phone, and
That's what I'm talking about.
okay, and then they have a guided tour
Yeah.
without having a person.
Yeah, and these would be, there'd be a placard that we would design. We need startup money for this, like this, that would be in all the hotel rooms. And it would have thumbnails, and it would give, say, like, go to www, and download the app for the tour. So and on the other side would have another tour. So that would be handled, like you say, the museum. And also, I want to train the docents. I want to train the docents and create a docent pool as well. I mean, I didn't tell you all the things that I've been dreaming about to do this.
Okay, so you
But I
already,
think I think
you
it
already
covers
thought
some
of that.
your concerns.
Yeah.
And I would really, just when I say everybody working on this, I would love you to be my ad hoc committee to work on the layout and the design, because that's your level of expertise, and I think we could get something so spectacular for our print materials. So,
Christine?
and Michael's my voice if he's willing.
A voice you love to touch. Yeah, right.
It's true, you've got the golden voice. Oh, sorry, wrong
Christine?
last name.
It's true, he does. I was just thinking that. But I love the idea, but I also have a caveat, is I have been trying to get a list of all the public art projects and images so that at least we could have it on our website. We don't even have that.
No, we don't.
So I would like to see us have a downloadable map on our website where people can walk around and see the public art, have a slideshow of the images, and then start dreaming about an app.
Yeah, that's also on our list of what we want to do, is have you be part of that ad hoc committee to work with me on getting that all set up on the website. And it all fits into the contract that we have now almost got to completion, if not, with Roger Conrad, who is doing the archival photography. So it kind of is all coming together for us, because we're going to have archival photography. He's giving us a digital file, because you brought that up.
Right.
To ask him for a digital file, and he's ready to do, we put aside $5,000 in the budget for that, in the Public Art Fund budget for that. And he's already, we have a list for him to do, and it's the first tour. It's tour number 1. There's 3 separate tours done geographically by location,
So
so.
didn't
we
he
just
take
need to do
photos of all this when he was a public arts commissioner?
A
And
lot
so
of the
if so,
photos that
where are
Roger
they?
is-
Aren't they
A lot of
ours?
the photos that Roger is going to use, because things were lost. It used to be all up there, but the website got somehow, something happened. Were taken by Susan Amen. Susan Amen did an incredible job photographing many, many, many of the pieces. And Roger, this has all been happening in the last year or more. Roger contacted Susan, he got the, whatever, zip drive from her, and almost all of them were usable for archival purposes. So we have a lot of photographs. Some of them, Roger will be taking pictures, and those, he's charging us a little more when he has to actually do the picture, because he has to go out on the location and do all that. But for this first tour, it is, we have pictures of everything on tour number 1, which ends up at Topa Mountain Winery. We've got those. So we can start with the first tour. I think
Maybe-
what you're saying, we've thought about all of that.
So I'm still unclear.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I missed the contract part with Roger.
James, can you talk to that?
So it was
Happened a long time ago.
probably about 6 months ago. I'm kind of ballparking here.
I do vaguely remember.
But
Even
we,
longer.
We
we
did
brought
discuss
an,
and we did agree.
brought an
yeah.
item for a contract with Roger to print and print the archival photos from the CD and then take additional photos.
It's needed.
And I think one of the questions that I have been asked at some point was, at the time I didn't realize he had been a previous arts commissioner. And so somebody had asked if that was okay that we contract with the previous arts commissioner. I have researched that. It's not an issue. You're not forbidden from contracting with prior arts commissioners. And so I guess at this point, we're about ready to move forward. We have the contract prepared, so it comes down to, whether the commission wants to move forward.
It seems to me that it should be done in a several-step process, because I think Christine's point is entirely right. The first step should be to get all of the information about the public art on the website so that people then can immediately, perhaps an app isn't even necessary. If they can go to the website and and access that on their mobile device, whether it be a phone or an iPad or whatever, they don't need a separate app. The information is all there. So it sounds to me as though we don't need to go to the extra expense of an app.
But we won't have you.
Well, but that's anything
I really
but
wanted you
crucial.
telling these stories. The stories that go along when you visit changes your whole experience of it. When, for example, you go to Clough Vista Park, and I'm thinking how this benefits the city, because I like to think that what really defines us is a kind of like a triangle. We have a spiritual identity, we have an art identity, and we have the natural wonders of Ojai. And wouldn't it be great for people who come here for spiritual sustenance, like they go to Byron Katie workshops, if they knew that there is a
That's
park here filled with public art, which was designed to be a spiritual vortex. Now, whether you agree with it or like it, the designer of the park did that intentionally, and I think that's just great for people who go there to know there's a guardian spirit in the east and there's a guardian spirit in the west.
But again,
There's an
Christine,
omphalos
forgive me
stone
for-
in the middle.
Forgive me for interrupting,
Fabulous story.
but all of that information can be on the website.
It could be on the website. I was
Exactly,
kind of
so-
hoping that you would.
Yeah, well.
But I'm open to
the
doing it on the website, absolutely.
Let's move forward then, working in
Yeah.
conjunction already with what we're doing with Roger. Let's get all the images and
Yes.
then arrange to put it on the website.
Okay.
And then write the bump that goes
copy.
along with each image
Okay.
for the website.
And I'll
so
get
that
it up.
Do
so
I,
it
do we
becomes
need
a
a vote
special
for mine to
feature.
move forward on that, or can I just move forward on it because the chair told me I could move forward?
No, I think we need it as an action item, and therefore it should be on next month's agenda.
Right, we'll
Okay.
agendize it for the
Thank
next,
you.
next
Oh,
meeting.
an idea.
Yeah.
Can't we create an audio file, going back to
We could.
Michael's?
On the
An
website?
audio file that they
Sure.
can download from the website, so they'll still have the audio portion.
Yeah, I just think it's so much fun when you do that. I mean,
Can I
and I
include some
should,
jokes?
yes, you can. And I should tell you that I used to give public art tours in Chicago's Loop for my fifth grade students. And at those days, we had like a bullhorn to take around with us. And by the time we got down to the Loop from the far north suburb where the school was, it was like the noon hour. And everybody was piling out of buildings. And by the time, after a half hour of giving the tour, we didn't just have the kids. We had all the grown-ups that were following the tour. Because
Okay.
that's what's so fun, is when you hear the stories, when you actually hear about the Rookery, or you hear about the Calder Mobiles. And we've got stories about the art here in Ojai. This could be so much fun.
Okay, next month's agenda as an action item, all
Thank you,
right?
Michael. Okay, one more thing. Okay, I received an email from, hang on a minute, I'll tell you his name. Lemons and Card, no, that's not it. Wayne Childs, he's the architect who is going to be working with the owner or renter, I'm not sure which, of the restaurant that was the East End Restaurant on Ojai Avenue. And he emailed me and wanted to know how he could go about applying to put a mural. The owner would like to have a mural. Now, if you know that wall, it's a white brick wall, ugly white brick wall. And they want to put a mural on there. Well, we talked a little bit at a couple meetings ago about a mural ordinance, because I actually found the mural ordinance that was written by whoever it was that used to be on the Arts Commission and got the whole ordinance going. And I have a copy of it. And I was in the process of working on, just playing around with it, just playing around. And this comes along. So, the other discussion is, should we move forward with a mural request? I can come back at the next meeting with something that I've blind carbon copied to all of you, which would give you kind of the idea of what might be in a mural request.
Well, I think the first step is for us all to get
Ordinance.
copies of the present mural ordinance, if there is one. I
We
didn't
don't
know
have
there
one. I'd have to write
There's
it.
not one in
Said that
Ojai
you'd
yet.
found one that had been written by someone on the Arts
Yeah, I
Commission
thought that's
sometime
what you
ago.
said too.
No, it's not an ordinance, it's a couple pages of Renata Collins, that's what it is, I think, notes on what should be in an Ojai mural ordinance. So it's a couple pages worth of notes. And then in addition to that, this was a couple months ago that I was working, kind of looking at this, I also got the mural ordinance from Santa Paula, and I got the mural ordinance from Ventura, just so I could kind of see what's going on with that. But and I'm willing to go ahead and present everybody with a rough draft to consider, because James and I have gone through all the steps this would have to go through, and we've come up with a timeline. And if we do this, it's not going to be ready until 2019. It's going to take at least a half a year. Has to go to city council, has to come back, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So,
Well, it seems
If
to me
you want,
appropriate to
I'll do
suggest that what you should do is you should call a meeting of the Public Art Committee. You should share this information with the Public Art Committee, let them discuss it, and then come forward with a recommendation at the next meeting.
well, I went to the Brown Act training, and my understanding is that we're really supposed to be having all these discussions, all 7 of us. So that's why I
No, that isn't
kept
the
it for
case.
here.
No, that isn't the case. We can
No.
have, standing committees can have meetings as long as they are agendized and there's a public notice.
Yeah, it would need to be an agendized
Well,
meeting.
I would really like to hear from everybody on this.
On
I
what?
mean, why not? Why not hear from everybody? Do you want a mural ordinance for Ojai? Should I go ahead and do a rough draft of one for you to take a look at?
So I have a question, and it probably sounds really dumb. So nobody can do a mural unless we have a mural ordinance? Is that what it is?
That's what it is, within the city.
Oh, well, then I think we need
So
one.
they are prohibited by law from doing a mural on a
They have
on a
actually
building?
taken them off, the city, yeah.
I don't have an exact answer to that, but I believe so. I could
See,
research
that's what
it.
I
and-
mean, when I.
They've been
I-
taken off.
I think there's a certain lack of clarity here, and that's why I think the Public Art Committee should meet.
Well,
and
I
should
can tell
review
you, I
this.
know the answer to that because I have artist friends who have done murals at the request of private property owners, and the city had it taken down. You're not allowed to do a mural without a mural ordinance.
It's signage, I guess they consider
In
it.
the city.
I was
Signage.
Falls
thinking
under
too-
the sign ordinance.
I'm assuming, knowing the sign ordinance requirements, that it would be very hard to design a mural that would comply
Would
with
fit
that.
with the sign ordinance, okay. Nevertheless, I continue to think that this is something that the Public Art Committee should discuss. It's not a one-man band. That's the reason we have committees on this commission, Christine. So would you please?
Well, I would really like a
Go.
discussion. I would like to know everyone's opinion on whether they want a mural ordinance.
We can, who would like to talk on that subject? Anybody have anything to say on whether we should have a mural ordinance?
I think we should.
Okay,
I think we
Christine?
should too.
and I do too.
Okay, so everybody
fine.
thinks we should have
So
that.
let's have a Public
Okay.
Art Committee meeting and go forward
Okay,
and
so can we
investigate
put that
this,
on the
okay?
agenda for the next meeting then too, James? To take a look at a mural ordinance draft?
We can receive the Public Art Committee's recommendation at the next meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
Right. Well, I'm going to prepare a mural ordinance draft, so I'll get to you on if there has to be an action on that for that to move forward. Okay, so that's the mural request.
I will say again, Christine, it is something that I think has to be dealt with by the committee. That's why we have committees. And I don't think it's appropriate for you to do it by yourself. So would you please work with your committee?
Well, I will not do it by myself, but I know I
Fine.
can't do it with, according to the Brown Act, I cannot do it with,
No, you
unless
can,
it's a public
Christine.
meeting. And to
No.
sit with my computer at a public meeting and write this, I'm going to prepare it and you're all going to receive it.
One way you could proceed is you could prepare a draft, present it to the Public Art Committee at an agendized Public Art Committee meeting, and then take that recommendation back at the next Arts Commission meeting.
Precisely.
Okay,
That's
but
fine.
everybody else has seen it, so they're not just reacting to like a recommendation. They haven't seen the document
Yeah.
themselves.
Following the Public
Yeah, so
Art
it's just
Committee,
an extra step in there. Okay, we'll do the extra
following
step.
the Public Art Committee meeting,
We'll do the
whatever
extra
is
step.
recommended, I can distribute it to the
problem.
full commission.
Yeah, I'm sorry this is seen as an imposition by you, Christine, but it
Well,
is the Brown
it's
Act
not
that
an
you've done.
imposition. I went to the Brown Act training and I realized that, like they're telling us we have to do things a certain way.
It's called transparency in government.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's move forward. Do you have anything else from Public Art?
Let me look. I think that might be it. I made X's on all my little things here.
Good, thank you. Okay, do you have an update on the consultant names in the list of the, item F on your agenda? An updating art consultant names suggested by commissioners?
Oh, that,
Does
yes.
Does anybody have any names to add to that list that was submitted?
Well, there's a problem with this. And I made a mistake. I'm pretty sure, and I need everybody's help for
Person who's
this.
deceased.
Yeah, I think I took off the wrong name. So, Michael, you had emailed me that, did you think?
Nancy
deceased?
Main is
Nancy
deceased.
Main should be off. But
Yes.
instead of Nancy Main, I took off Michelle Eisenberg. So we have to switch that back. Can we do that, James?
Okay,
So Michelle Eisenberg is still on there, and Nancy Main is off of there. And Tom Bostrom is off of there.
okay,
And there's nothing to add?
apparently not.
Okay, all right, because this is it then, this is who
Yeah.
gets our, okay.
But I had said that Jessica Cusick, I know her, I've worked with her on different things, and she lives in Santa Monica and is really heavily involved in Santa Monica. I don't know
Should we
that
take
she
her
would,
off?
have time
That's
for
not
us.
appropriate, yeah.
Right, yes, I think we should.
Take off her? Everyone
Mhm.
agree to that?
It's fine with me.
I mean, she's
with
great,
me.
but I know her.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
We have a shortened list.
so we move on to the City Gallery Committee. Christine Byrne, if you would, please.
Well, we have an opening tomorrow from 5:30 to 7. It's Joanne Pavlik, so we invite the public to attend. And the next show coming in is the Ojai Studio Artist Student Mentor Scholarship Show. And then after that, we have Carlos Grasso. So we have a number of good things coming up.
Good, good. Okay. We can move on to the Arts Education Committee, i.e. the book.
The book.
Bobby?
Well, I'm sorry to say that I haven't seen any great sales on the book, unless James has some surprise for us then.
I don't have any surprise. I did talk to Wendy. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've talked to her
Yeah.
recently. So I could report on that, but I'll let you report.
Well, that's a separate subject. Okay. As far as that subject, which is how can we deal with not mail order, but, when someone orders online or needs a book sent to them, how do we do that? And we thought we could work with the museum, as you remember. Well, I went over and talked to Matt at Bart's Books, and interestingly enough, he ships books all the time, all over the country, and does it for $4.
Wow.
Wow.
And so he said he'd be more than happy to do that for us.
Wow.
And I actually think the museum would probably be relieved, because I think it's a burden for them. So,
Could you get that information to Stuart and see if
I
he
did.
can, oh, good, so
I
he
did.
can drum up some
I did.
publicity on that.
But
Good,
he
good.
said that he has not heard back from those magazines, the editors.
Okay.
So,
And so are we gonna have it, when you were talking about people ordering this online?
it's not ordering it online.
Okay.
Excuse me. It would say somewhere online, we can, put the book, put information about the book, to order, email, or, Bart's Books at da-da-da-da-da, or call.
Okay,
That's what it would say. You can't actually place the order
So,
online.
But I
so that
just-
should be on the website too, then?
yes, I was just thinking, wherever it's available now, if you could send me a list so that I can.
There's no list. It's here and at the museum right now,
So-
in Bart's.
People can buy it at City Hall.
City Hall,
By City Hall or the
Museum
museum
and
or
Bart's.
Bart's?
Now, how does that work with Bart's
How much
exactly?
is
They
it?
take the order, then we provide them with the
no,
book? and
no,
they-
no.
How is that gonna work?
It's the same, they're selling them through their store. So if they run out, if they get an order for 4,
Right.
they come to the city and they get their 4 at 20% off.
Right, so we're basically stocking it for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're not out of pocket or anything?
no,
Okay,
No,
so there is financial incentive for them to
yeah,
handle this.
yeah,
okay,
Hot ticketing.
good,
that's it.
very good. Okay, public relations, Stuart is not with us, but Christine, what can you tell us on that score?
Well, we have a lot of different things now. I'm actually working on a new website to be a little bit more flowy and friendly. Also, we do have e-blasts that go out. I ask everybody that's watching or in our audience to go to our website and sign up for our e-list. So that just went out. We do a lot of Facebook postings. I requested Instagram, and James is going to let me know about that. So we tend to get a lot of hits on our Facebook pages now.
That's good, that's
Oh,
great,
wow, really?
very
Yeah.
good, good. Okay, and Art Acquisition, Linda Harmon is not with us either, so we'll move that to the next meeting, and we can jump now to the budget. And this is a proposal that I put together based on what I think our needs are, and based also on what we did last year. And I think this is for us to discuss and act upon tonight. It's on the agenda as an action item. So let's go through it line by line, and let me tell you my thinking, and then we can discuss it from there. The grants, I've increased by 2,500 from last year because we are increasingly getting more and more grants, and grants for substantial projects, new artists moving into town and things of that order. So it seemed to me that is really one of the major ways we can serve the arts community, is by having this very active grant program. Acquisitions, continuing to move forward on that to supplement the city collection. Again, I've increased that by $1,000 to $4,000. Artist-student mentor, I've put it back to $5,000 that we had before, so that we can fully support the 5 pairs that we seek. $3,000 is the same as this year's gallery. The City Art Museum, we allocated or have an approved budget from the city this year of $4,000 for the City Art Museum. And you may recall there was a certain effort to get $12,000 from the city's budget for a rolling rack, to add to the rolling racks. Being rebuffed in that because of the heavy cost, Linda Harmon did a lot of research and came up with a very attractive solution that is much less expensive, that is manufactured by the same company, so it will integrate well with the rolling rack system that they have in the museum, but it's just a different mode of storing, and I think it's storing them. I'm blanking on the details, but instead of them being racked vertically this way, I think they're stacked in some way like this. I don't know what the difference is, but it's apparently a third of the cost.
Yes.
It's $4,000 instead of $12,000. So on that basis, I've requested $6,000 for the museum budget for this coming year, as opposed to the $4,000 last year. That, in fact, then reduces it slightly in terms of the amount of money that committee will have for expenditures of hanging art and framing art and things like that. But we will get the storage capacity that we're seeking. So that's the reason for that request. Art awards, I kept where we did this past year. Art education was a heavy request last year, $9,600, because we were moving the book forward. We're dropping, I'm suggesting we drop that down this year to $2,000 so that we can use that for marketing of the present book and any costs as we begin to initiate discussion and maybe developing mock-ups of whatever our next book is. So that's the reason for the shift there from 6,000 to 9,000.
Would you be open to
sorry.
some of that possibly being used for aspects of the public art tours?
Perhaps, yeah, sure. Although I think the Public Art Fund could legitimately use for the public art tours.
That's true,
So,
they could, they could.
where were we? Arts education, public art, $1,000, again, the same as last year for plaques and things of that order. Public relations, the same as last year. And very important, our share of the copier rental, $750.
That really bumped up by $500. Why is that so much higher?
I'm sorry, you're right. That's my error. That should be $250
Oh, I'm
rather
glad I
than
noticed it.
$750. Thank you.
So it should be $250?
It should be $250, yes.
Thought you were gonna make a lot of copies next year.
Oh, $250 is plenty.
So it's not.
that takes the total
Yeah.
request down to $51,000, which is only $400 more than we were granted last year.
Hot dog.
No, less than that. You're deducting
Yeah.
Yes,
500.
Yeah, $400 less.
$500 less.
$400 more?
Sorry,
Less.
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 So deduct 500.
Would be 50,750,
You're right.
I think.
Isn't it 150 more?
So it's 150 more than
No.
last year.
It's 150
You
more.
charge
isn't it?
750,
more.
it's only 250, so
The
deduct.
total next year is
James thinks it's
150. This year is
150
150
All
more.
right, so now you know the artists in
Okay.
here can't do math.
Anyway, that's what I'm suggesting for our budget, and it's open for discussion.
Good job,
Please.
Michael.
Any thoughts?
I think it's great.
Looks good.
I like it.
Okay, could we have a motion?
And I
then?
know she's not here, but I just think it's so fabulous that Linda didn't give up on this and
Amen.
explored. How
Amen. Yeah.
fabulous is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
okay, a motion to approve the budget request,
I move
please.
that we approve the 2018.
Is there a second?
budget.
I'd second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have
Aye.
a roll call vote on this one, I think.
Yeah. Commissioner Byrne,
Yes.
Commissioner Tosher,
Yes?
Commissioner Balderman,
Yes.
Commissioner Golden,
Yes.
and Chair Addison.
Yes.
Chair Addison, would you say the total once again?
Okay, I hope I got it right this time. $50,750.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. All right, we have one last item, and that is the Awards Committee, and You all received, I think, at our last meeting, the list of potential Lifetime Achievement awardees. And I think given our clarification on public meetings and so on, I think what we should do is discuss that list again this evening and perhaps make a decision this evening if we choose to as a council. The one name that came to my mind and I brought to your attention through a submission that I think you all have in front of you this evening is Jay Hirsch, who's been on that list for a long time. And given the fact that our recent awardees were in different art forms, and I think we've had several men in a row, it seemed to me that Jay Hirsch, with her musical and theatrical background, was a plausible and very well-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award nominee.
And we don't have that sheet that says
Yeah, we do. It's in the packet,
what
the agenda.
fields they came from before.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on,
it says next to their names.
right here.
Michael?
Oh, there it is. I'm
Um,
sorry. Looked right at
Julie
it.
Christensen
looking
lives
right
in
at it.
Tennessee now, so
Oh, she's out.
But no,
there.
I mean, from the last ones we gave, there was a list that had every year and who got it, and then next to it, what field they
Right.
were in. Like who got it last year,
I don't have, no.
but I think it's in the handbook. I don't know that it's been updated, but it's in the handbook, which I'm trying to find it.
Anybody find it?
I'm looking.
It's on our website,
Can you tell
Can
us
you-
who
Can you
got the
tell us the
one?
last 5 nominees, please?
except I don't have 2017, but 2016 was Roger Conrad, photographer.
That's photo.
2015, Jimmy Cleary, musician. 2014, Khaled Alawar, gallerist. 2013, Kim Maxwell, theater
And that's
educator.
theater, okay.
2012, Seiko, visual artist. Do you want me to keep
No,
going?
that's enough, I think. But who was last year's?
I think we made a correction to that list that I should send you, because I think Roger Conrad was 2017.
Okay.
Linda Taylor was 2016.
Oh, good.
Oh,
That's
Linda
right,
Taylor is
that's
in
right,
there, so
that's right.
printmaking.
So I should
Yeah.
send that to you.
That would be great.
All right,
Thank you.
so that's the last 6: photographer, printmaking, music, art supporter, theater, visual art. So I think we can do theater again, music again. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Further thoughts?
Well, I'm the newbie here, and I think I emailed you, Michael. I mean, some of the people I know, their work and all of that, but just this was really helpful, this resume of Jay Hirsch's. I would like, for my purposes, to get more background on the other people, other than, I mean, there's someone else here that's nominated for theater-related, who's involved with theater. So if we've decided we're gonna pick someone who's involved with theater, then I'd like to know more about this other Steve Grammett. Gay Jones, does she direct theater?
Gay Jones directs and teaches and has a national reputation in theater.
We see this is what,
Is it
Theater
gay?
educator.
It's gay?
Yeah, Gay
Okay.
Jones.
and then Bill
Yeah.
Spellman is an actor, producer, scene builder. So I think to be
Compare?
fair about it, to compare, because this kinda seems like you're advocating for
I was
Jay
just bringing it
Hirsch or.
forward. I don't mean to advocate, it's just the one that came to mind that I knew
Oh,
I could
okay,
get the
because I would
information.
I think to be fair, then we should have similar little blurbs or whatever
Some-
about each of these people, or if you just want to do the theater people to make it easier, that I would have an educated opinion.
Sure.
And we haven't had a visual artist for a while, and Karen Lewis, she's getting up there.
That's true.
Yeah, that's another point.
That's
You
true.
know, the other thing that I think would be good to have, there's a list of criteria that we're supposed to use when we pick this. And I think it'd be good to have that criteria in front of us. And I know one of the criteria is what they've done outside of their art thing in the community.
Mhm.
So it would be good also to
Yeah.
know how these people have contributed to the life of the community. So maybe next time we'll continue.
And then hopefully everyone will be
Materials?
here.
Okay, let me do this. Let me contact as many people as I can on this list and ask them to send me a resume.
Oh,
Okay?
good idea.
Including their community involvement.
Right.
And we'll just have a stack of information.
That's
Oh,
to do
that's
perfect.
great.
That's
Do
That's
you
great.
have the
perfect.
criteria on the website? Because maybe
No.
we could.
Along with the
I never knew
criteria.
about
Your
that.
little contact or
Oh,
something.
yeah, it's
But I would
important.
put it on there if you guys,
It's important for
Send it
people
to
to
me.
know the
I'm
criteria.
sure the criteria is in the handbook.
it says the criteria for the award includes proven continuous artistic excellence, demonstrated community involvement, and established recognition within their
Right,
field.
those are the
That's
three criteria.
right,
Yeah.
that's what it says on the,
Yeah.
that's what I put
Thank
on the
you.
website.
Okay,
I can make a copy of this for everybody too. I think it's the same thing that you just read, but.
okay, well, we'll have a stack of information on all the names on this list. And
Perfect.
if going over this list, you think of anyone else who you think really fits the criteria as outlined, and also remember, it's a lifetime achievement award. I think
Yes.
that suggests that it's a person of some mature years, shall we say. Okay? All right. That will also be on the agenda for discussion and action at our next meeting.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and we
Okay,
should get
James?
that in the handbook, that criteria.
Perfect,
It's
thank
not
you.
in here.
All right.
It's on the website.
I missed it.
Staff liaison report. James.
Thank you. We have our new community development director. If you, I should bring him one of these days. His name's Luke Connolly, and we are looking at making some long requested changes to the project subject to public art requirements document. But one of the things we kind of did immediately while we're doing that is we went through. We were noticing that a lot of these projects are very old or have been completed for a while now, and it's turning into quite a long list. So we highlighted the ones that we would like to remove because they're either exempt, closed out for whatever reason. And so we'd like to remove those and then kind of revise the list and come back with a new list in the next month or two.
Good.
So if everybody, if there's no concerns
So that,
with that.
are you talking about what I sent you for the revision?
So that's one of the ones I'm looking at as a
Okay,
template.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and so I do have a couple of actual updates on projects, though. The cottages project, I think at the last meeting it was requested to report back on the cottages, the Olive Mill, and the Sane Center. Still don't know if I'm
And
saying it
where
right.
is that listed on here now?
So this is actually just something that I got from the community development director today. I don't.
It's not on here?
Actually.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, they're
It's
on there. Just
Page 2 of 3.
I have-
Page 2 of
yeah,
3?
page 2.
Fourth one up from the bottom.
Fourth one from the bottom, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
But
Not highlighted.
as was pointed out I think at the last meeting, is these don't have a lot of detail, which is also one of the reasons we're looking at changing it. So the status that I got from community development is that the project is close to the building permit issuance and is expected to start this year, pending unforeseen delays, which can happen. And the public art is estimated to be installed at the end of 2019.
Good.
So that the last update on our list said it had been approved in July 2017, which now has been quite a while. So the second project that was requested was the Olive Mill project. I wanted to make sure to bring this up because I think we're at a point where I or one of the commissioners may want to kind of check in on this. The Olive Mill project ran into an issue with their artist and their art proposal, and they now are not sure if they want to move forward with the new artist or if they would. They're kind of on the fence on that, or requesting the ability to pay the fee in lieu.
Of the waiver?
Yeah, the waiver.
Okay.
Uh,
Is this on our sheet as well, and
the-
where is it?
So the Olive
I
Mill
don't see it.
is
I
on the
take
sheet.
notes on each thing, that's why this needs to be revised,
Yeah.
because you can't follow it.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I know.
I thought the Olive Mill was.
Christine's good
on
at
here.
finding them. Where is it, Chris?
I can't find it.
I don't
Is
either.
it the Pearl Street? No?
But not the Craftsman Village one, that's.
Not 601. I don't
What's
see it
the
either. Maybe
address?
we dropped it off by accident.
No, it's not.
Oh, is it 601 Pearl Street on page 2 of 3, which would be the third from the bottom, is that it?
Oh, yes, it is that, yeah.
Oh, the
I
9
had
new
crossed that off.
residential
So they
townhomes?
are thinking of asking for a waiver.
Yes,
And do we have any kind of time frame on their decision on asking for that, and do they know there's a process?
well, I think that's actually kind of the point I wanted to make is I think either I am happy to do it or I was going to raise it here, but I think we actually need to reach out to them and make sure,
Can you and I talk about that?
yeah, they're clear
Okay.
on their options. You'll note that when they submitted their documentation to us, they gave us an estimate. And so based on that estimate, this is what the fee would be is shown in there.
Mhm,
But-
26.
26,000 or so. But that's not, official valuation yet. It's an estimate provided by the
9
the
units,
property owner.
All right,
1.6
So this is something
million?
the Public
Sounds
Art
low.
Committee would have to, we'd have to meet
Yeah,
and talk about
9
whether we think that
units.
this, a waiver
Yeah.
would be appropriate in this location.
sure.
Mhm. You're right, good point.
So we'll meet. But
Right.
before we do that, James and I'll do a reach out.
Yeah, just to get information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll have a
think
meeting.
they feel
We'll
a
do a
little
reach out.
stuck with
Yeah.
our artist.
We could do that
issue.
together, James. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fun, you know.
Bobby raised a good issue. This has been kicking around since 2015.
Mhm.
And if the valuation is based on a 2015 estimate, I would imagine building costs.
I'm not sure, but it's not a official valuation. So
Okay.
I literally, when he told me that they were now kind of deciding what to do, I asked him to give us what number they do have. So I don't know if it's a
'Cause-
couple years old, but
Yeah, I mean, 9 units,
Yeah.
1.6 million,
yeah,
sounds a little low.
yeah.
It sure does.
So the third project is the farmhouse project. This is actually just a brief update because we've already kind of been there, done that. But the project is currently at the foundation stage, and they have not started installing the public art, but they have stated that they obviously are going to start it soon. So
Okay. Then they don't have a timeline.
they didn't give us a timeline.
Okay.
They
Thank you, James.
yeah,
That's great.
they just did the foundation.
And
at
that,
this
by the
point.
way, is on the first page, and it's the second up from the bottom.
Right. The barn.
So that's what I have for the projects. Oops, I'm sorry. And
Marcy, do you still have a question about the, because you had looked at Sane Institute on Matilaha, you thought that should qualify you?
Well, it looks like the renovations look extensive to me.
yeah, I actually thank you for asking. That was the other one on my list. So we don't have an official valuation yet, but the estimate that they've given us on that is 150,000, and so we need to obviously get the official valuation, but that's
I'd love
the
their
estimate.
contractor's name. Surprise. No.
So it's not a done deal that it does not qualify, is
No.
what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
but I think the question last time was how extensive are the repairs, so I just had them give us the estimate that they have on file.
And is that the one, the bottom one on page 1 of 316 East Matilaha?
I believe so. I don't
Yeah.
have the address on that one.
Yeah.
That's it.
So the second item,
Please.
yeah,
That includes the renovation for installing a restaurant, right?
No, this is not a restaurant.
The
This
Saint Center, the design
is-
review
Oh, that's
permit.
right, it's the vegan.
The design
restaurant.
review permit included the renovation to install a hip vegan restaurant.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
150,000 for installing renovations for a restaurant?
I will find out if it's included. I
That
don't,
was Marcy's point.
I think that the DRP included the restaurant renovation,
okay.
the design review permit, so,
There isn't even a restaurant there now. so-
well, I just saying.
Yeah, but I
there's
mean.
nothing- Yeah, there's nothing there at
More
all.
reason to question.
I don't know how you put a restaurant in for $150,000.
Yeah.
Your appliances alone could
So
be-
I would say that I think you got to look at the scope of the design review permit, which is their entitlement, and get the components, the valuation components for that entire
Right.
design review permit.
Yeah. We'll do that. The Sane Center and the Olive Mill, they are not official valuations at this point. It's just
Okay.
kind of a status update.
That's good.
So. The Public Art Fund update has one update on it. It is we have finalized the Roger Conrad contract that we discussed earlier. So that is now reflected on that sheet. We haven't actually entered into the agreement, but we're ready to meet with him to do so. So now there should be, I'm looking for it, there should be a new amount remaining in the Public Art Fund of $55,993.
And let's make sure everybody follows that, because at the last meeting, that $5,000 deduct had not been reflected. And so we,
Yeah.
are really happy that it's reflected now.
Okay, good. All right, we can move on to commissioner comments. Let's work our way around the table. Christine?
Oh, I don't think I do.
I really meant Christine Byrne, because she's to your right, you see. And I was looking directly at her.
Chris.
Chris,
I don't have any comments.
and Christine, do you have any comments?
Christine who?
You don't have any either. Ms. Balderman?
Well,
Calling you Chris.
my comment is that next month's meeting will be my last. So, I know.
Oh,
My term is up, and I have decided not to rejoin. So, well, you all know why, I think, so.
But this is heartbreaking, truly is,
Yeah.
because you have given so much of yourself, Bobby, to this
Don't make me
commission.
cry.
I'm not trying to make you cry, but I'm choking up myself, because you've just been fearless and ferocious and determined, and you made that book happen.
yeah.
You brought the Education Committee alive, and you made that book happen, and it's dedicated to you from now on.
Yeah. It's called the Bobby Balderman book.
Development book, exactly.
That doesn't sell.
Oh,
We're
Well,
sorry. We're really
And,
sorry.
yeah, well, I can say my goodbyes next month, so I'll hold back on
Okay.
real tears till then.
Okay. And Marcy, do you have any comments?
well, boy, how do you follow that? Talk about bearing the lead, Bobby.
Yeah.
You got a great haircut.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
But, no, I really don't, other than this is, I have to let this absorb this news from Bobby.
And we have our council liaison member with us, if you would. Mr. Wyrick, your comments and thoughts?
Sorry to hear that, Bobby. By the way, you're, even if you don't, until another replacement's reappointed, you're eligible to continue to serve. Just thought that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, it'd be really easy not to find anybody, huh?
Yeah.
Gee. Yeah.
Couple things. Again, it's great watching you in action as a group. It's wonderful. I think the whole issue with the Trimp and Arch underscores the importance of having proper conditions of acceptance and covenants of acceptance for our public art installations. I haven't actually read what might be in place with regard to the documentation when the Trimp and Arch was accepted. But again, the whole issue certainly highlights in terms of the integrity of the public art piece needs to be respected and best enshrined at the time of acceptance of the piece. So then there's not sort of a debate afterwards about the proper way to maintain that integrity. So just thought I'd make that comment. Have you
Well
read
taken.
has anyone read the actual conditions of acceptance?
I-
Is there a document out there?
No.
I'd love to see it, because it might be there.
You think it's in that file?
It might be, there,
Calling it, I've got a file.
there, usually there's some sort of contract.
I
or-
have the file, I'll have to dig through it.
Usually there's some sort of conditions of acceptance for the city when it takes a public art piece, it accepts the public art piece.
Never heard that we have conditions.
Or a covenant, and there's usually something about,
Contract between the city and the artist.
okay, well, what's in the contract?
We'll look, have to hunt it
And-
down.
The one,
We are working on.
And my point is, we all learn through all of this, right? And we learn the kinds of things that ought to be in these documents to guide future staff people, future commissioners, have it nailed down. So I could foresee, looking back, perfect hindsight, which none of us have, in terms of going back, but in going forward, if there's kind of an issue about how it's to be treated once installed, get that in writing. Put that in there as part of our institutional memory, it would be great, Just
Yeah.
Good idea.
thought I'd mention,
We'll
learn from
research it.
experience,
We will research it.
and see what the contract says about, maybe it says you can't put you can't use it for another function or something. I don't know, Yeah, so I thought I'd mention that. So I really support personally, as an individual council person, restoring the integrity of that piece as a public art. And of course, how I get educated about these things.
She's a good teacher.
A nod to your left. Yeah.
Yeah. And when Ray is doing his presentation, will there be, it's obviously you're showing people how to use an app. Will there be any kind of like a monitor if there's a crowd around that can maybe see what's going on?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Huh?
We haven't laid out the
Okay, but I just thought there might be a
details
way
of
of
the
having a remote
program.
monitor
But that's a
link.
good idea. We might be able to.
If there's a crowd, as opposed to everybody trying
Right,
to,
right. Hopefully we'll have a crowd.
Yeah.
And everybody
so-
will be able to get on their own phones, right?
Or they
That's-
could get on their own
that's the
phones,
plan.
yeah,
He can talk them through it.
yeah.
Plaque actually is what you do.
Okay, well, I'm just saying,
Steps of
Yeah.
what you
just
do.
think about letting the crowd see.
Yeah.
If it can be done by everybody having their own phone,
Yeah,
then,
that's a good idea,
Make
thanks.
use of the
Yeah.
technology that's
you
available.
know,
We
Yeah.
haven't nailed down, including asking Michael if he's available, and
right.
we'd like to hear Michael speak, if he would be the one.
You're a real fan of his narratives,
We'll all be
She
written
must
up
want
for you.
something.
I know,
from
she's
you.
looking for something,
Buttering
I
me
know.
up,
it-
No,
it-
this is the
it-
best voice in town.
Oppositional, I have to put.
No, she just respects your professional acumen,
I see.
yeah, so-
My radio voice, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
No one is better at that than Michael.
No, you're right.
All right, enough of that.
All right, so getting on to the idea, what I really liked in terms of a couple thoughts on the idea of enhancing in some way the public art experience in terms of for our visitors, however you choose. First of all, I really am trying to use the word visitor and not tourist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
what we want are visitors, right?
Right,
We're not
right.
really wanting tourists, we want visitors.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yes.
there's a better connotation with
You know, I
visitor.
mean, we want people to be part of our artistic life here that are visitors. We don't want people just to kind of, look and take it. No, we want people to participate in our cultural life. We want to host them as visitors. And I think there's a distinction there, and I think it would enhance the visitor experience, and is a good thing to do and to think about. I like let me finish my thought, okay? And then I also think the idea is really good about enhancing the sense of reward for enthusiastic participation by private property developers and others. Like, oh, this helps me get visitors to come to my site, okay? Great idea. Also, what I like about it is it helps focus on proper care and maintenance of these sites. The more visibility, the more people that are visiting it, the more incentive there is to take care of them, which has also been something of an issue, I believe, in the past.
Especially at the site that the first tour ends, it's an issue.
Right. And on book sales, maybe this is a little out of school, but other than Bart's Museum in the city, okay? Would it be too out of school to consider some other possible sites? For example, I know Alex Kim has told me recently that they're always looking for unique things at their gift places at the Ojai Valley Inn.
We approached them and we were
said
turned
no.
down because it's soft cover. They wanted hard cover.
Oh, okay.
We also,
Did you guys approach Alex himself?
No,
I
the
don't know
person
who's
who's
steward.
responsible.
I don't think
for
so.
doing it.
Okay, well,
Well,
I'll
just to let you know,
I understand
the
that.
committee actually has assigned, like Marcy's going to handle the stores under the arcade, the arcade. And so we know
I'm
that.
thinking of human arts and places like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
that
yeah,
might be really
yeah.
receptive to this kind
Right,
of thing.
right.
And maybe we have, even like the Topa Topas turned into such kind of an event thing, and the kinds of things they host, maybe just, you know, for events, have them available.
The Lavender Festival, I mean, if we had a table
Right.
with all the different festivals in town, that would be good.
See, y'all are on it now. You don't need my advice. I mean, you know, but,
If he's there.
huh?
Let's you and I talk to Alex. 'cause
Okay.
We didn't talk directly to Alex.
Okay.
You and I could put.
Well, anyway, you're on it, so, you know, great, you know. And then, Luke Connolly, I want to say something positive about already. I had a little interaction with him. He's from Monterey. He is very well grounded in terms of, you know, being very comfortable and solid with his professionalism. He kind of is getting Ojai really quick. And I'm really optimistic about this hire. I think it might be really positive community development director. I'm hoping. I think
Good
it will
news.
be. And also, our friend James over here was acting city manager for a week. So,
City's still here, that's the.
so I'm just saying he got another level of experience, and he did a great job, by the way.
That doesn't
Yes,
surprise anyone.
Christine.
No,
Christine's raising her hand. She wants me.
I am,
Yes,
but
Christine.
but I'll wait till you're done, but then I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think?
I don't know though. You know, but Michael and I would kind of. You know.
Do you think city council would be open to helping fund the tour project, let's say for about $8,000?
Boy, I don't know. I seriously,
That would be really helpful.
I understand that, but if you're asking me to just off the top of my head read the minds of 4 of my colleagues, and I'm not sure. There's a lot of competing things out there right now. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I know where you're coming from. I know the little swap out thing, you know.
what clued you
And-
in?
It will never end
It's,
until the money comes back.
I got it. You know, all I can say is make a request. Okay,
We'll see.
Thank you.
but anyway,
see.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for being with us
Thank you.
tonight.
Great to have someone.
And Cynthia, thank you again for
Thank
your help
you.
on the project, the Timpan project. That's much appreciated. Good. Ladies and gents, any other business? 5 to 8, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Hey.
Marcy.
Good work on the Trimpan, yes.
I know, oh, thank you. I have the folder, yeah.